Live from the JPR Steve Nelson Performance Studio. Welcome to another JPR live session where we get to better know artists we admire and hear one-of-a-kind performances. I'm Dave Jackson. JPR live sessions are made possible with support from the Talent Club. You can find their music schedule at talentclublive.com. Just about every conversation about guitar players this decade isn't complete without a discussion of my guest today. Molly Tuttle was named Best Guitarist by the IBMA 2 years running. Was the first woman to receive the honor. Has gone on to have a string of Best Bluegrass Album Grammys for Crooked Tree and the follow-up City of Gold. And she and her band at Golden Highway have been nominated for a bunch of IBMA awards this year. And they just released the new single from their new EP, Into the Wild. Mm-hmm. Molly Tuttle, thanks so much for joining us, and congratulations on that wave of success.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back here on Jefferson Public Radio.
We're excited. Molly Tuttle and her band Golden Highway is on a co-headlining tour with the infamous String Dusters. Mm-hmm. Hear them tonight at the Brit Festival in Jacksonville. So tell us about the new EP. The title track was co-written with Ketch Secor, who you work with quite a bit. How did that song come about?
That song came about, I was spending time in the Redwoods and Ketch and I were writing and just feeling really inspired by kind of like the natural setting that we were in, but it's also a song about, it's about needing to be kinder to the earth and preserve these places that I feel like our biggest gift is like our outdoor spaces and the forest and the ocean and all the places we get to enjoy, but we need to help preserve them if we want them to last.
And so the new EP, did Jerry Douglas work with you guys on it again?
He didn't. So this new EP, we recorded Into the Wild, which is a new original, and then there's another new original on it called Getaway Girl. And I re-recorded Stranger Things, which is a song off of City of Gold, did a stripped-down version of it, just kind of for fun. And then we also recorded a brand new cover of Here in California by Kate Wolf. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of worked with the band, and we didn't have Jerry this time around for those kind of 4 new tracks. And then the rest of it is fleshed out by some other covers that we've been doing for years now and have recorded versions of that haven't really been formally released on any sort of physical album, like our White Rabbit cover. And then we did a cover of this Olivia Rodrigo song, Good For You, which is like a fun pop song that we've been doing lately. But we did that originally for this Spotify Grammy Best New Artist session. But this is fun because we get to put them all out on a vinyl that people can pick up at the shows.
All right. Yeah, I saw the video you guys did, the White Rabbit video. It was so much fun, the costumes. You were the Red Queen.
I was, yeah. That's fun. My classic. I was the Red Queen in like 7th grade in our school play.
All right, far out. And then on City of Gold, you wrote Alice in the Bluegrass, which is all kind of Alice in Wonderland theme. Was that something beyond just that, playing that role, that was stuck with you, or is it
well, I really loved the song White Rabbit, and I covered that originally during the pandemic. I did a live stream, I think in the later part of 2020, and it was a live stream of all songs from the Bay Area. I grew up in Palo Alto, California, and I actually read when I was researching songs to do for that live stream concert that I did, I saw that Grace Slick from Jefferson Airplane actually went to the same high school as me, in Palo Alto High. And then she also went to another school, Castellea, which is a different high school. I think she transferred or something, as far as Wikipedia says. But that school actually inspired the title of another one of my songs called Castellea.
Oh, right.
So
I knew that name sounded familiar.
I was like, I got to do a Grace Slick cover. So we did White Rabbit for that Bay Area live stream. And then it just kind of stuck with me as one of my favorite songs. And when I was writing songs for City of Gold, I wrote that one. I wrote Alice in the Bluegrass with Ketch, and I was like, hey, it would be really fun to write like a bluegrass version of White Rabbit. So we were like, what could we do? Maybe it's like set in Kentucky instead of, set in England or whatever, wherever it's set.
Very cool. Well, let's hear a tune. What do you want to play first?
Well, I was thinking I could do my new single, Into the Wild.
I'd love to hear it.
Memories drifting through the forest of my mind. Back before the war we waged with the plow, crosscuts on the dynamite. These hills ain't like they used to be. Rivers have been dammed and they blew the mountains in. I can't recall what was here before. Still we're wanting more. Wind blows in the ponderosa pines, like a song when I close my eyes. Memories go drifting by and I'm gone into the wild. Childhood melodies echo in the backwoods of my mind, free as the wind, the sun upon my skin, fairy dust falling from the sky. These times ain't like they used to be. The wilderness is hard to find it all. The magic slipped away and the fires start in May, making way for another shopping mall. Still we want it all. Wind blows in the ponderosa pines, like a song when I close my eyes. Memories go drifting by and I'm gone into the wild. Redwood canopies, shadows dancing round the forest floor. A wild seed sown for the great unknown, growing in my heart forevermore. How can we ask for more? Wind blows in the ponderosa pines, like a song when I close my eyes. Memories go drifting by and I'm gone. I'm gone into the wild, into the wild, into the wild, into the wild.
That's Into the Wild, a new track from Molly Tuttle, and she is my guest today in a JPR live session. Molly Tuttle and Golden Highway are playing with the infamous String Dusters tonight at the Brit Festival in Jacksonville. Tickets and more information are at britfest.org, and you can keep up with Molly Tuttle on social media and her website, mollytuttlemusic.com. That's such a nice song. Thanks for playing that for us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And congratulations on so many IBMA award nominations
Thank you.
this year.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Album of the Year, Instrumental Group of the Year, Entertainer of the Year. And then it's like this circle that you kind of hang with, and the folks in your band are all over that as well. Bronwyn Keith-Hynes is up against her husband.
Almost husband. They're getting married in about 2 months.
Oh, I thought I saw they got married. Okay. Her fiancé, Jason Carter, and that's the second time they've been up against each other for that. Is that right?
Yeah. They're kind of up against each other for that, seems like every year, and they have a friendly competition going.
That's good that it's friendly.
Yeah, I think it's friendly.
And Jerry Douglas is getting Hall of Fame acknowledgement, and Billy Strings, who you collaborate with, is all over the place.
Yeah.
And Bronwyn and your sort of partner in crime for early in your career, AJ Lee, and Blue
she's
Summit.
Up there.
Yeah, they're both
awesome.
up for
and my
new
brother's
artists.
in AJ's band, so he's up for new artist as well, Sullivan Tuttle.
Yeah, so it's like this. It's like I'm really excited that there's this sort of new, younger group of people that are taking off with this genre of music.
I know. And now I have to go and vote today or tomorrow. The voting is closing soon, so I'm like, how am I going to choose? They're
All your friends.
Yeah.
You're taking bribes on the side.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So how much do you, when you're playing and writing and doing this, how do you balance out honoring time-honored tradition in the genre and then being an innovator? How do you kind of balance that out? Or do you feel a responsibility to do both?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the bluegrass music that I really love is kind of the older stuff. Like I grew up listening to people like the Stanley Brothers and Bill Monroe and Hazel Dickens, who were all making music, starting in the 40s when bluegrass was kind of formed, and then into the 50s and 60s. And that's just kind of the style of bluegrass. I mean, there's so many different kind of subsets within the genre. You have like newgrass, jamgrass, just kind of the classics from when the genre was first starting to get going. But I really love the older stuff because I feel like it's so raw and it has this energy and this emotion to it that I resonate with. Mm-hmm. And so I've always kind of been drawn to that traditional side of the music. But then, growing up in Silicon Valley, I'm a woman. I was born in the 90s. I'm naturally going to bring a different perspective to it than someone like Bill Monroe, who grew up in Kentucky and a long time ago. So I think it just kind of happens. And then I also listen to so many different styles of music that I'll hear something, I'll be like, hey, that's kind of a cool musical idea. Maybe I could take something from this song or this genre and try it out with my bluegrass band. We're always covering songs that are sort of all over the map, and doing that can give us ideas for some of my original songs, like the arrangements and stuff. We come up with a lot of the arrangements all together as a band, which is a lot of fun. But everyone kind of brings their own unique perspective and throws out ideas that do kind of push our music into new territories.
Right. Oh, it's good. And it shows in the music as well. You're
Thanks.
doing a good job. Molly Tuttle in a JPR live session this afternoon, and she's performing along with her band Golden Highway and the infamous String Dusters at the Brit Festival tonight. Tickets and information are at britfest.org. So we were kind of talking about cover songs. I just saw a video you did for a Cranberries tune, Dreams. That was really pretty.
Thank you.
Is that just one that you've always liked and decided
I've always loved that song. I loved the Cranberries when I was probably in middle school. I had an older cousin who would give me her old CDs to burn onto my iPod, and that was one of my favorites. And my mom's side of the family is all kind of Irish descent, so I have an affinity for Irish artists like the Cranberries, and I got to go to Ireland a few times when I was growing up. So that was really cool to me when I was a kid to, get into their music.
And right now, we are in what some of us call the days between. If you know, you know. Jerry Garcia was born on August 1st and died August 9th, 1995. And the faithful still treat this time as a bit of a holiday called the days between. And I wanted to ask you about a few Grateful Dead covers you've done. I feel like you've been inspired by them at some level or another. And is that something that had to do with Palo Alto? Was it just growing up with jam sessions? Was it?
Yeah, I think when I was a kid, like growing up, going to bluegrass jams, it was inevitable that I ended up playing songs that people learned from Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead and like the Olden and the Way stuff that had such a huge impact on the whole music scene in the Bay Area. And then when I kind of got a little older, I realized that some of the members of the Grateful Dead were from right in Palo Alto. The band kind of formed around Palo Alto area. And so I just heard so many stories of, my dad worked at a music store in Palo Alto, and like they would all have stories about the members of the Grateful Dead and stuff like that. And I started thinking like, that's so cool that this band is basically from my hometown, which when I was in high school, I always felt like Palo Alto didn't really have like a blossoming music scene. There weren't too many venues, and it's kind of just known as like the tech capital of the world, basically. So I was starting to yearn for like some more, arts in my hometown. And then when I discovered that history of the Grateful Dead kind of forming right there, I was like, wow, that's amazing. So their music has a special place in my heart, as it does for many, many people, obviously.
Well, you did a covers album, I'd Rather Be With You, and just a gorgeous cover of Standing on the Moon.
Thank you.
I've played it like a gazillion times, and I still get a little emotional. And one of the first comments I saw on the YouTube video is somebody said, "I'm not crying, you're crying." What was it about that song you liked?
I feel like for me, I decided to cover that one. Well, when I first heard it, I instantly loved it. I loved the lyrics so much, and I decided to put it on that record and kind of, use a lyric from it as the title of the album, because I made that in quarantine, in lockdown. I made that record basically in my bedroom in Nashville, and I was feeling really homesick for California and my family. I hadn't seen my family in a long time, and I was kind of feeling so isolated, and that song really perfectly captured this feeling of you're looking out at the whole world, which I think for me, I was like on the internet, I was on my phone constantly FaceTiming people, seeing people's posts online, but I couldn't physically like interact with people that I loved in person, which was really hard, and I was also miles and miles away from all my family. So that song kind of started taking on a new meaning for me and resonating on an even deeper level. And so I decided that was a good one to include, and then also take the lyric from it as the title of the album, since the whole premise of making like a covers album during quarantine was just still being able to reach people with my music, being able to still create even though it was under totally different circumstances. Yeah.
We would love to hear that song.
Sure, let's do it.
It's Molly Tuttle in a JPR live session.
Standing on the moon, I got no cobwebs on my shoes. Standing on the moon, I feel so alone and blue. I see the Gulf of Mexico as tiny as a tear. The coast of California must be somewhere over here, over here. Standing on the moon, I see the battle rage below. Standing on the moon, I see the soldiers come and go. There's a metal flag beside me, someone planted long ago. Old glory standing stiffly, crimson, white, and indigo. Old glory standing stiffly, crimson, white, and indigo, indigo. I see all of Southeast Asia, I can see El Salvador. I hear the cries of children and the other songs of war. It's like a mighty melody that rings out from the sky. Standing here upon the moon, I watch it all roll by, all roll by, all roll by, all roll by. Standing on the moon, I see the shadow on the sun. Standing on the moon, the stars go fading one by one. I hear a cry of victory, another of defeat. Hey, scrap of age-old lullaby down some forgotten street. Standing on the moon, where talk is cheap and vision's true. Standing on the moon, but I would rather be with you. Somewhere in San Francisco, on a back porch in July, just looking up at heaven, at this crescent in the sky, in the sky. Standing on the moon with nothing left to do. A lovely view of heaven, but I'd rather be with you, be with you. I'd rather be with you. I'd rather be with you. Be with you. I'd rather be with you.
Molly Tuttle is my guest today in a JPR live session, and that was her version of Standing on the Moon, a Grateful Dead tune. That's for everybody celebrating the days between. Molly Tuttle and Golden Highway and the infamous String Dusters are performing at the Brit Pavilion in Jacksonville. Find tickets and information at britfest.org. So I've been fortunate enough in the last few months to talk with a lot of musicians from Nashville. A while back I spoke with Lindsay Lou, and
cool.
She talked about living across the street from you while you were living with Billy Strings.
Yep.
And I just want to hear about just what the musical environment was like on that street at that time. You guys were all like just getting ready to make it, and or you know just getting to the surface. And what was that like?
Well, I have to give a huge shout out to Lindsay because I feel like she was totally the hub of our little block that we lived on. She was always hosting house concerts, jam sessions. She kind of, found, I think she was living there, and then the house across the street came up for available for rent. She let Billy know because they're friends, longtime friends. They both are from Michigan. And, I kind of heard through the grapevine Billy was looking for a roommate. He was living with his then girlfriend, now wife, Allie, she's an amazing person as well. And so I loved living with the two of them, and then just being able to walk across the street and get to Lindsay Lou's place. And she was always having bands crashing at her house and people playing music on the front porch. So I feel like a lot of the music that we made was over across the street at Lindsay's. She was so much fun to be neighbors with. Uh-huh. But yeah, it was a great time. And, I had moved to Nashville about a year before I moved to that street, and I wasn't sure I wanted to stay. I was like, I don't feel like I'm really breaking into the scene. I don't have many friends. I'm trying to go to all the jam sessions and parties and concerts that I can, but it's just like, it's such a close-knit little community. So when I moved over there, it was like, oh, cool. Now I found my people. We've all just kind of recently moved to Nashville. We're all finding our way, doing similar things. So that was where I was like, okay, now I feel like I'm in the right place. I'm where I should be. But before that, it was like I felt so uncertain about the move. It's really hard to move to a new city.
Nah, I bet it was. But boy, that must have been a great place to hang out.
It was, yeah.
I wish I could have just been listening to that. And I also talked recently with Steve Poltz,
I love Steve.
who said he worked with you. Talking about writing with Steve Poltz, he just seems like so much fun.
Well, yeah, when I was living down in East Nashville, Steve was just another neighbor. I could bike over to his place, and someone kind of put me in touch with him. He's a fellow California Nashville transplant. And so I instantly hit it off with him. And I think the first day we got together, we wrote 3 songs, which is kind of, I'll give him a lot of the credit for that because he's just like a total ideas machine. He'll be like, let's start this song. And then I'll be noodling on the guitar. He's like, oh, that sounds cool. Let's turn that into a song. And it's really fun because he's so high energy and he just has a billion ideas, and he genuinely just loves music and writing songs with people.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun to have in here.
Yeah, he's so much fun.
So on another level, your song Crooked Tree, it was inspired by something Tom Waits said, at least the Crooked Tree part of it, but it has a lot to do with a lot of meaning in your life. Talk to us a little about Crooked Tree.
So my friend Melody Walker, we were writing a ton of songs together leading up to me recording my album Crooked Tree. It was like every day I would just get on my computer, we would FaceTime, and we had these Google Docs, and we were just like furiously writing these songs. And so we were always texting back and forth about like, what's our next song idea? And she saw that Tom Waits quote online somewhere and was like, hey, this could be a cool song idea. And I think both of us really felt like this was an important message for us personally. We've both felt like crooked trees in a lot of ways. I think for me, like the biggest way that I can point to is like when I was a kid, I lost my hair, and I've grown up as like a bald kid, a bald woman, and I wear wigs a lot of the time, but I also kind of go without as well. And it's taken me years and years to even, be able to go to the grocery store without a hat or a wig. And so just kind of learning to embrace who I am, cut myself slack, and also celebrate that we're all different and we're all unique. That's been a kind of important part of me just coming into my own as a performer, as like a confident woman in general. And Melody has had similar experiences in her life that she's, had to take a negative, flip it into a positive, and really just like own who she is. So.
Yeah, it seems to me that, with the alopecia and growing up without hair, and then being a girl and a woman in a male-dominated sort of thing, that it probably really drove you. That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, and I can point to, even just growing, like we've talked a lot about like how I grew up in Palo Alto, even just growing up there and like playing the banjo and playing in a Bluegrass family band, like that was also very weird. And it took me it was like midway through high school that I ever even like told anyone that I owned a banjo. But now I feel like a lot, I think just kind of, tackling one thing at a time, like learning to accept my alopecia, that kind of opened up all these other parts of my personality where I was like, oh, I can like, be confident about this other part of who I am too, and it's not so scary as I thought it was.
Well, I know you need to get going because you're playing at Brit tonight, but can you play us one more tune? What do you want to play?
Do you have any ones you want to hear? I can do Crooked Tree or...
Crooked Tree sounds good.
All right,
it's a great tune. It's Molly Tuttle in a JPR live session performing at Brit tonight along with the infamous String Dusters.
Two trees in the forest, one was crooked, one was straight. Crimson bark and emerald needles growing day by day. And though they looked so different, they enjoyed the rain the same side by side. A chickadee told them of a darkness on the land, spinning blades that came to visit carried by a man. And every other tree would see them cut down where they stand by and by. Oh, can't you see? A crooked tree won't fit into the mill machine. They're left to grow wild and free. Oh, I'd rather be a crooked tree. Perfect trees were driven down the mountain to the mill. They turned them into toothpicks and $20 bills. Seemed the more the people took, the more they needed still in the end. The crooked trees were left there after all the work was done. Now they go for weeks, never witness anyone. No one left to tell them if they're growing right or wrong but the whispering wind. Oh, can't you see? A crooked tree won't fit into the mill machine. They're left to grow wild and free. Oh, I'd rather be a crooked tree. People say I'm different and my way of life seems strange. I took the road less traveled, twists and turns along the way. But like the crooked tree, I'm growing stronger day by day as the clouds roll by. A river never wonders why it flows around the bend. A mountain doesn't question how it rose up from the land. So who am I to wish I wasn't just the way I am? Who am I? Oh, can't you see? A crooked tree won't fit into the mill machine. They're left to grow wild and free. Oh, I'd rather be a crooked tree. A crooked tree won't fit into the mill machine. They're left to grow wild and free. Oh, I'd rather be a crooked tree. I'd rather be a crooked tree.
That is Crooked Tree. It's Molly Tuttle. She's my guest today in a JPR live session. You can find more information about Molly Tuttle, including merch, music, tour information, at mollytuttlemusic.com. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a real pleasure to meet you and hear you play.
Likewise.
And we'll be looking out for the new EP, Into the Wild, when it drops. And good luck at the IBMAs and keeping all your friends still friendly after it. I'm sure it'll be a fun night for you guys.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll see some of you tonight at the Brit.
Yeah. JPR Live Sessions are engineered by John Griffin of Luna's Inn Studios, made possible with support from the Talent Club, with cold drinks and great music in a casual atmosphere in downtown Talent. Their live music schedule is at talentclublive.com. I'm Dave Jackson. Find this podcast later on our website, also Spotify and YouTube, and stick around for more Open Air in just a moment.